So question, what administrative measures did the British adopt initially to rule India? So did the initial approach change later on? If yes, examine the factors that led to such change in the approach. Introduction. In 1764, after the Battle of Buxar, the British became supreme power in Bengal. When the British took control of Bengal, they tried to establish administration according to their requirement. However, after 1875, British administrative policies were modified, but it never lost sight of its main objects, which were companies' profits. To enhance the profitability of its Indian possessions to British and to maintain and strengthen the British hold over India. Body. Administrative measures British adopted initially to rule India from 1765 to 1772. In the period of the dual government, Indian officials were allowed to function as before, but under the overall control of the British governor and British officials. In 1772, the company ended the dual government and undertook to administer Bengal directly through its own servants. Continuous works and management by the company officials made British Parliament to pass Regulating Act of 1773. Regulating Act of 1773. The government headed by a Governor General in Bengal and 4 councillors, having the supervisory authority over the presidencies of Bombay and Madras. The Act recognized the right to Parliament to regulate the civil, military and revenue affairs of the company's territory in India. Its India Act 1784 gave the British government supreme control over the company's affairs, and its administration is in India. It established Board of Control. The Board of Control was to guide and control the work of the Court of Directors and the Government of India. Charter Act of 1813. The government and the revenues of India continued to be in the hands of the company. The company also continued to appoint its officials in India. And Charter Act of 1833. Government of India was reconstituted on a new model which gave it in all India character. This act redesignated the Governor General of Bengal as the Governor General of India. The Governor General was given exclusive legislative power for the whole of British India. It attempted to introduce a system of open competitions for the selection of the civil servants. Indian administrative approach changed later on. From 1853 onwards, changes began in administrative politics, but major changes seen after 1857 revolt. Charter Act of 1853 separated for the first time the legislative and executive functions of the Governor General Council. It introduced for the first time local representation in the Indian Central Legislative Council. It introduced an open competition system of selection and recruitment of civil servants. The convented civil service was thus thrown open to the Indian also. Government of India Act 1858 established the East India Company and transferred the powers of government, territories, transferred the power of government and territories and revenues to the British Crown. It ended the system of double government by abolishing the Board of Control and Court of Directors. It created a new office, Secretary of State for India, vested with complete authority and control over Indian administration. In pursuance of the policy of association, 3 acts were enacted by the British Parliament in 1861, 1892 and 1909. Act of 1861. So Act of 1861 made a beginning of representative institution by associating Indians with the lawmaking process. Act of 1992, it increased the functions of Legislative Council and gave them the power of discussing the budget and addressing questions to the executive. Act of 1909, it provided for the first time for the association of Indians with the Executive Council of the Viceroy and Governors. Swatantra Prasad Sinha became the first Indian to join the Viceroy Executive Council. He was appointed as the law member. Government of India Act 1919 relaxed the central control over the provinces by demarcating and separating the central and provincial subject. The central and provincial legislatures were authorized to make laws on their respective list of subjects. It introduced for the first time bicameralism and direct elections in the country. It provided for the establishment of a public service commission. It separated for the first time provincial budget from the central budget and authorized the provincial legislatures to enact their budgets. Government of India Act 1935 introduced provincial autonomy. The provinces were allowed to act as autonomous units of administration in their defined spheres. It provided for the establishment of not only a federal public service commission but also a provincial public service commission and joint public service commission. Factors that led to such change in the approach. First, 1857 revolt against British policies, and second, English education was introduced, and interaction between the Indian and the Western cultures helped Indians to know the world affairs, and this raised aspirations of the people, which forced British to change in administrative process. Third, establishment of Indian National Congress in 1885 forced British to include Indians in administration. Conclusion: the revolt of 1857 gave a severe jolt to the British administration in India and made its reorganization inevitable. Some of the British administrative policies were highly effective, which are even today inflicting in Indian government administration. So thank you.